All right. Hey, YouTube. I wanted to do a 1 year review on the Jackery Explorer 1000 here. I've had it now for, like I said, just about a year. And if you didn't notice, we are in my toy hauler right now doing this video because I moved this back and forth between my my truck when I'm truck camping, and we even our toy hauler where we have batteries and inverters, all that fun stuff, we still use this in here regularly, whether we're dry camping or at an RV park. So this unit cannot say enough about. I don't have comparisons for EcoFlow, Blue Eddies, the other brands, that sort of thing. I went with a recommendation of a Jackery through other folks. Thought I would go ahead and try to pick one up. We did have the 200 for a road trip that we kind of spontaneously purchased, as my wife's vehicle does not have the 120 regular plug-in, and she was wanting to use her laptop to work for the majority of the drive. So we kind of bought it at Walmart, a little 200, not very big. Did what we wanted to do, though. It took the place of one of those cigarette lighter inverters, which is what I was trying to get away from, as I've had a few of those over the years. So when we got back, we decided we were going to take it to the next level to have more options available to us depending on what we're going to run. And for an example's sake, I have an electric heater here we're going to plug in and show you kind of what it's capable of. Just one example, obviously. So anyway, Jackery Explorer 1000. This is the newer model. You can tell, obviously, because it has the flip-up handle. The older first-generation Jackeries had a fixed handle that did not move, and it's a different battery technology in those. I cannot remember the exact name of it right offhand. I do apologize. But the older model did have a less full charge capacity over time, if that makes sense. And what I mean is they were good for 3 to 4 thousand charges per the research on the internet. Feel free to fact check me. These ones with the new lithium battery technology, is more than 10,000 complete charge cycles. And the cool thing about it is it connects Bluetooth via app, and you have full control over all the manual functions, buttons, but you can also see specs. You can adjust settings, etc. So you do get the Jackery app with this, and you can turn off and on everything you can on the front of the Jackery, but you can also set settings, look at history, charges, health, internal temperature, etc. So this video is going to be kind of a review. Pros and cons, though, is stuff that I found that I really like, and the few things that I'm a little annoyed by. So first and foremost, power button turns the Jackery on. Right now, sitting at 68%, if you guys can see that. And you have 0 wattage in, and on the output, 0 wattage out. I'll zoom in so you guys can see the display. All right. So at 68%, like I said, and it doesn't give you a time remaining until you have something plugged in, obviously. So I am going to do a demonstration and also follow up with one of the things I don't like about this Jackery. If I just plug this into one of the AC outlets, it is not going to automatically power what I have plugged in. You have to physically turn the power button on for the AC outlets. Same for the DC, which is your 12-volt USB-Cs and USB-A. That's probably one of the biggest annoyances of this Jackery. Is you would think, and my kids do this all the time, you turn it on, you see the power button, all the outlets should work. They don't. You have to physically turn those on as well. So I'll turn this button on. Now you can see, even with the electronic heater turned off, it's reading some kind of voltage. So it's going to read something there. If I go to fan mode, now I'm reading 28 volts, 27 volts. Let me see if you guys can see that here. Adjusted the angle so you guys can see a little bit better. So this is telling me it's still at 26 volts. It'll run this fan on fan mode for just under 19 hours, as I'm only drawing 27 volts. If I go to heat, stage 1, now we're jumping up to about 600 watts, not volts, excuse me, watts. And it decreased it down to 1.2 hours. But still, heaters are one of the toughest things for any electronics to actually run. A battery or anything like that. They draw a lot of power. So this thing on heat 1 at 650 watts now will run this for an hour. That's actually pretty impressive. If I go to number 2 setting, which is the high heat setting on this heater, I'm 1503 watts. Sorry, screen blacked out. So that's one of the annoyances that I have on it too. And it's a setting you can change on the app, is the screen timing out in 2 minutes, 2 hours, or keeps on all the time. For battery conservation, it defaults to 2 minutes. So you can change that on your app. But as you can see, I jumped this thing up to 1500 watts. This is a Jackery 1000. So it has that availability to peak at over 1500 watts without safety shutdown. So right now, this heater's on high. I'm pulling in 1200 watts, and it's telling me I can run it for 30 minutes, 0.5 hours. So very, very capable unit when it comes to reliable power. We started at 68%, we're down to 65%. And again, we spiked over 1500 watts on a 1000, technically a 1000 watt power system, solar generator, whatever you want to call it. So huge pro to this. People, when they read what size of wattage or what size of solar generator power, whatever you want to call it, again, when they read what they want, they think of the size as your peak. What's nice about this is it may be a Jackery 1000, but it can peak well above that 1000 watt threshold while continuing to operate. So we'll take it back down. You'll see the wattage go back down, which is the little number below that. You will start to see climb. That's giving you your remaining duration until the Jackery is dead. And if you can see up in the corner here, there's a Wi-Fi signal and a Bluetooth signal. That's how your phone's going to connect to it. So wherever this is sitting, in my toy hauler, in my truck, if I want to know what the battery power is, what it's running at, any specs on it, I can pull my phone up and log into the app and see everything versus having to physically be in front of the Jackery. So, and as you can see, screen went off again. It'll come back on as soon as you push the power button. Screen comes back on. So I'll turn that off. And then to shut off, you just press and hold the power button. Wow, that wind is shaking the trailer. Sorry if it's moving you guys. And it shuts off. So, pros. Very reliable power source. Long lasting. It pulling 1200 watts, it was still giving me 30 minutes of power, and that's on 65, 68% charge. We did test this out when we first bought it, charged it to 100%, and I unplugged my refrigerator from my kitchen, plugged it in, and it was going to run it for almost 19 hours. on a full-size residential fridge. That's great to have for emergency power issues or power outages, etc., in your home. So a lot of pros. The other thing that I actually use this for, I'll turn this back on, and I use it more from my app on my phone, but it does have the light. So when I'm in my truck camping, if I have to wake up in the middle of the night or whatever, obviously I don't just have a light switch I can turn on. My lights in my canopy are at the other end where my feet are, unfortunately. But I can use my app, click the button, and I can actually turn on the light of the Jackery, which actually sits underneath the table. So it's kind of like that under cabinet lighting. I really like that. It has a low, a high, which is ridiculous, and then an SOS mode. And then you can push it off. So I count that as a pro because having a little bit of extra light with you obviously never hurt. Um, a couple cons about this unit. One, it is kind of heavy. I'm going to insert a clip because I wasn't able to use my scale my handheld scale that I can lift things on because the hook was not big enough to fit in the handle. So I'll go ahead and enter that now. All right, let's see if it'll work here. 24 pounds exactly. I'll try it one more time. This is user 1, user 2 stuff for actually weighing people. Set it down again. 24 pounds. That is the official weight of the Jackery. Okay, now that we're back, you can see the weight of this thing. It can be a little cumbersome. I have no problem throwing it around. My kids, my wife, they can pick it up and they can move it, but it can be a little bit of a struggle. So it's definitely a power station that, yes, it's mobile, but at the same time is best if you have a place for it, you set it there, forget about it, and that's where you just leave it. The biggest, I think this is the biggest con I have of this power station, and I don't know if the Blue Eddies, the EcoFlows, if the competitors are this way as well, but this has charging capabilities, whether it's a 110 outlet you plug into an outlet in your house or a DC cigarette lighter for your vehicle. Charging cables are on the side. Solar 12 volt uses the little circles here, and then the 110 uses the bigger power cord here. Well, in my truck, I have a 110 outlet, 400 watt inverter, both on the dash of my truck and in the bed of my truck. And the intent was perfect. As I'm driving down the road, I can plug that power cable into the outlet and charge this as I drive. Well, it does not work. It actually kicks on for a second, kicks off, kicks on, kicks off. And at first you think there's something wrong with the Jackery. You can hear it clicking, something's not right, it's not stable. Frustrating, actually. So I unplugged it from the 400 watt 110 outlet, and I plugged it into my 12 volt lighter, cigarette lighter, which is a lower power and is charging. So in my mind, I thought that there was just an issue either with my truck or with the Jackery itself. Well, doing more research and actually wound up calling Jackery themselves, this has what they call a floating ground inside the unit. Meaning, if you plug into something that does not have a stable ground like a household outlet that has you're connected to a ground grid that's physically going in the ground, it won't work. So my truck has a ground connection, but it's grounded to the frame of my truck, which only thing that makes contact with the ground is 4 tires. So it's not a true ground, if you will, and all of the electricians out there can kind of correct me on this stuff, but being that this has a floating ground system and my truck outlet doesn't have a physical ground that is in the earth, I can't use a more powerful charging source like my outlet to charge this while I'm driving down the road. I have to use the 12 volt. Well, the 12 volt is like 100 watts max. So if I use this out on a trip and I sync it to 60%, 50% or less, it's going to take a long drive to recharge this from that kind of percentage. Whereas if I plug into the house, that's going to charge at 500 watts, we can fully charge this from zero in about an hour and a half. That's awesome. So my thought process was, if I'm charging at 500 watts in my house and my inverter is 400 watts in my truck, I'm still going to be under 2 hours to get a full charge into this thing, depending on how much I use it when I'm out camping. Not the case. I have to use a 12 volt, which means it's a substantial amount of time to recharge this while I'm out on the road. I don't have the solar panels for it yet. That will be coming down the line, and those have a much quicker charging option as well. But I was very discouraged when I could not use 400 watt outlets built into my vehicle to charge this thing. So besides the weight, the charging issue, minor, the separate power buttons you actually have to turn on, those are the only cons I have with this. It has been incredibly reliable, functional. When we go on family vacations, even if we're staying in a hotel room, some hotel rooms have a nightstand with USB or power on one side of the bed, nothing on the other side. So I would always have to take my stuff to my wife's side or to a table or an office table, desk, whatever, to charge my stuff. I will take this into the hotel. I'll put it on my side of the bed on the ground. I can charge my iPad, my cell phone. We run a fan at night for white noise. If I wanted to, I could plug it into this. I've never hit limitations on this, practical limitations, if you will. The only thing I found it has not ran is our large toaster / air fryer, which is not a lightweight model. It's like a 2,000 watt system. It won't keep that on. But again, I was physically trying to max it out. When we're dry camping in the toy hauler or in my truck camper, if my wife showers or swims or whatever and wants to dry her hair, this does run the blow dryer. This will run a curling iron. So all of your practical appliances, coffee makers, Keurigs, this will have no problem running for you with this size, I should say. So it's really kind of a great all-around unit for us. It's supposedly shock-proof, weather-resistant, semi-waterproof. These aren't cheap. I'm not sponsored by Jackery. I paid full price for this, so I try to take the best care of it as possible. And I found to really, really enjoy this unit. So hopefully, for anybody debating on a solar generator, a battery source, whatever again you want to call that, hopefully you find this video useful. I don't have the comparison with EcoFlow or Bluetti. I've heard that they are great systems as well. I think Jackery's been around a little bit longer than those ones have. So I went ahead and decided to go with what's had the longest standing history. But if I happen to get lucky and acquire a Bluetti or a EcoFlow, I'd be happy to do a side-by-side comparison. But this is the only one that I've owned so far, and I would absolutely recommend it to folks that want that external battery source. Car camping, trailer camping, tent camping, you name it. If you have solar panels and sunshine, you will not be upset with the capabilities this power station has to offer. So if you guys have specific questions, I can try to answer them as best as I can. Leave them in the comments below. Thank you all. Make sure to like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe. I'm trying to get to that mark of getting monetized so I can get more coming into the channel to provide you guys with more gear, reviews, updates, etc. I've got a plethora of outdoor gear that I'll be doing some reviews on over time. So thank you all. Till next time.